What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City match analysis. This time we're going to be analysing the Manchester City game up against Newport County. So, FA Cup 5th round, away at Rodney Parade, anything could happen here. The pitch we already know was going to be a bit dodgy, so going forward into this game, didn't really know what to expect. In anticipation of that, Pep's gone with an extremely strong team in this side. Gone with Ederson in goal rather than Muric, which surprises me. It's telling me probably that Ederson will be starting in goal in the Carabao Cup final next week as well. Fernandinho ended up starting. Not too sure I'd have gone with Fernandinho. I agreed with near enough everyone else. Fernandinho, I'm not too sure I'd have started or risked. We don't look like the same team when he's not there. To have risked him in such a game, and we've got big games like the Carabao Cup final coming up next weekend, Champions League football coming up in midweek too against Schalke. I'm not too sure I'd have gone with him in this game, but we did. There we go. David Silva started, went with the front three that I predicted of Riyad Mahrez, Leroy Sane, and also Gabriel Jesus. For Newport County, Wilman, Matt, Amond ended up starting for Newport as expected into their attackers going forward. Pre-match, the pitch looked awful. Going through the game again, it looked awful. So I was hoping if we could come out with a win and come out with no injuries in this game, then really it's a job success and a job well done in my opinion. So we'll crack on with the analysis into the game. The long throw comes in early on. Weak from Danilo, dealing with a header, ends up flicking it on and kind of nearly getting an assist for the Newport player. Gets down well. Decent header. We had a tribute to Gordon Banks before the game, as you should. Absolute legendary goalkeeper. He'd have been proud of Ederson making the save. Gets down well low to the header. Anticipates where it's going to be going. Brilliant to get down there and keep Newport out. Early wake-up call there for Manchester City and a decent opportunity for Newport to have taken the lead. Now, as we went through the half, there's some obvious shirt pulling. Never really got pulled on television, but I noticed it certainly. One of the corners that City put in, there was obvious shirt pulling, at least on 2 of the City players, and fairly sure there was on 3, so there could have easily been a case there for a penalty on at least one of them challenges, which was never noticed. Wouldn't normally make such a big deal of this. However, I've known in previous matches throughout previous seasons, City be punished for shirt pulling and other clubs be punished for shirt pulling. It's just so obvious. If you get a shirt pull and do it all that, try and keep it a little bit secretive and try and, you know, keep it covered so no one can see. It's just so obvious. A bit strange that it was never punished, but there we go. Leroy Sane ended up getting into space, making a good run. Has a very powerful shot which ended up striking the crossbar just from how close he was to be able to lift it and hit the crossbar. Took some doing, but he managed to do it. Next time, Leroy Sane manages to get through on goal. He's ready to square it across, ready for Gabriel Jesus just to tap in. The offside flags up. Turns out, in reality, no VAR in this game. Leroy Sane was actually a good yard onside. Just terrible officiating. It gets no better. Leroy Sane ends up having a shot. One of the Newport defenders was sliding in. His arm's up like this. Strikes his arm whilst he's sliding to make the block. It's just a fault, you know. It's just a penalty. It's as simple as that. The thing is, didn't really need VAR in this game. It's just obvious decisions that the officials were just getting wrong. Just further backs up the case of why no officials actually went to the World Cup from England, because it's just terrible. It's just awful. It's just rife, not just in the Premier League, but in the EFL too, in the cup competitions too. It's all just terrible. It's awful. We shouldn't need VAR to be able to make simple decisions, and us just getting them wrong too. Just awful. I'm not just biased towards here with City. We've got a case in the second half where Newport were hard done by. Now, 0-0 at half time. Pretty boring first half, if I'm honest. Newport, the threats were coming from long throws. I was expecting to target more with the set plays. The set plays that they did put into City's box weren't brilliant, in my opinion. I was expecting them to be a lot better, considering how good they were against Middlesbrough at them. However, it looked like there was more of a threat from the long throws, and City struggling to deal with the second ball. Pep mentioned it in the pre-match, so I'm not too sure why the players were struggling, but there we go. Newport, they defended well. The keeper was making some good saves. They're looking good from the aerial threat from throw-ins, so they were making things happen, and I should imagine they were delighted going in at half-time, 0-0, and still well in the game. I was hoping that personally that the tide looked quite tight in the last 10 minutes of the first half, and so I was hoping that if we could score first, then it'd end up killing the game and the heads would drop and we'd go from there. Now, 51 minutes in, Leroy Sane ends up having a shot. It hits the keeper Day right in the face, hits his nose, ends up bouncing and spinning and spins into the back of the net. Just what I was looking for. 51 minutes in, 1-0 Manchester City. Phil Foden lets the ball spin into the back of the net rather than tapping it in. He wasn't sure if it was onside or not. Always best to be safe than sorry, in my opinion, in them situations. Why chalk off a goal that was already going in for your own selfish needs? He may have wished later on that he was selfish because he was onside and the goal would have still counted, but you can't rule anything out with the officials. You couldn't rule out that flag going up, really. So decent. Just after the goalkeeper has seen some treatment for his nose because he had a bit of a bloody nose from that. About a minute later, Danilo then goes and tests him with a testing left-footed drive from around 30 yards out, struck well, and a decent save down to the goalkeeper's left. Danilo then gets into space. He then forces a good save from Day, and it ends up hitting the post. Now, if that goal had counted, Newport would have felt hard done by, because Danilo, in the run-up into that position to get into the position to shoot, was about a yard or so offside. Like I said, they're not close calls. These are fairly obvious things that you'd expect linesmen and referees to be able to pick up, and they just weren't doing it. That's 3 or 4 cases now throughout the game that have picked up where the officials, at this top level, FA Cup, 5th round, all to play for, knockout competition, you'd expect them to be able to get these called right, and they weren't. Anyway, doesn't matter in the end. 75 minutes in, Phil Foden, he has a little bit of fun and goes and have a run at Newport after picking up the ball in his own half. Has a run, gets central, has a shot. Day gets down to it. He'll be disappointed that it's gone through his arms and into the back of the net. Love the lad for Phil Foden. Absolutely brilliant player. He's got all the potential in the world, and I'm delighted that he's gone and grabbed himself another goal. And I feel delighted that he didn't get the goal. He let Leroy Sane score first. He's gone and got his goal, well deserved, 2-0 up, game, set and match, you'd think, from there. However, 88 minutes in, Amond ends up getting in after Laporte, a ball over, isn't dealt with. He ends up heading it into the face of Amond and ends up taking a shot, lobbing it over an out of position Edison. Otamendi's too slow to react and he doesn't get there, so 3 mistakes end up leading to a well-struck Amond goal. And good for Newport, great for them. Something for them to cherish, something for them to hold on to. They can always say now, Manchester City, that team that won the Premier League, that are currently sitting on top of the Premier League, the Centurions, the record breakers, Pep Guardiola, we scored past them. So good for Padraig Amond there. Brilliant for Newport County. They've got something to cherish there. I'm disappointed personally from our point of view to have conceded, but there we go. I was just happy to pick up the win. 89 minutes in, just a minute later from there, Newport thought, here we go, we're going to try and push for an equaliser. Ball's run back from Leroy Sane, plays in Phil Foden. Central ends up cutting into a little bit on the left and ends up just smashing it in for around 20-25 yards out. Good finish from Phil Foden, and absolutely brilliant. I'm sure he'll be gutted now that he didn't tap in Leroy Sane's first goal, because he'd have had a hat-trick. But there's lots of years ahead for Phil Foden to go and score his first Manchester City hat-trick, but absolutely brilliant from Phil. And then just to rub a bit of salt in the wound, unnecessary from us in this, and flattered us a lot, in my opinion. I think a closer scoreline like 2-1 would have probably suited the game more. We ended up winning it 4-1 though. Mahrez into space, 94th minute, smacks it in on the left, goes across the goalkeeper, ends up putting it in. Job done there, 4-1 and through to the quarter-final. So we'll have a look at some of the stats, see how Man City and Newport end up doing in this game. Ended up being 77% possession in the end, and 23% to Newport County. 23 shots from City, 10 on target, 4 goals going. Not too bad. From Newport, 8 shots, 3 on target, 1 goal a game. Not too bad. 205 from Newport, a pass completion rate of 55%. Manchester City ended up having 696 passes. Pass completion rate 88%. About what you'd expect from Manchester City there. 19 key passes, just creating 1 clear-cut chance. It didn't look like our fluent best, in my opinion. Man City ended up having more corners, 8 corners to their 2. In terms of tackles, Newport had more tackles, more interceptions, more blocks, more clearances. Not too bad a performance from Newport. Like I said, 4-1 kind of flatters us really, but there we go. Great effort from Newport. Tried their hardest. They battled for everything. Tried to win as many second balls as what they could. Did really well, got themselves a goal. They've had a great day for the players, great day for the fans. They've got something that can last them a lifetime. Like I said, they can say they've scored past Manchester City, the current Premier League champions, the current Premier League leaders, against Pep Guardiola. They've scored against them, and they gave us a very good game. Day did well in net too at times. Be disappointed with a couple of the goals that have gone in, but still, to keep Newport in it, City had loads of shots. He's got to make the saves, and he did. So all in all, like I said, flattering, but still a decent effort, and so I just wanted to wish Newport County the best of luck for the rest of the season in League 2, sitting in 15th, so I hope they go and push on from there and see if they can get into the top half, maybe even try and push up further up into the league table if they can have a good run of form, try and use this as a confidence boost to push on from there. For City, nowhere near our best at all. Wasn't expecting it to be with the changes that we've made, but we still had a strong enough team out there to go and do the business, and they've done that, so job done. We've got something to work on. We need to be better on aerial duels. We We need to be better on winning the second ball. We need to be better on dealing with balls over the top and balls into space. These are things that I'd expect from Premier League teams that we're used to dealing with game after game, so it's disappointing in this game that we didn't really deal with that properly, but there we go. We've got the Schalke game coming up on Wednesday. We need to be targeting that and trying to pick up a good result in Germany before moving on to the Carabao Cup. So we've got a final, so we've got lots to look forward to, lots to aim for, and lots of improvements to make from there. But comfortable in the end. Phil Foden, the deserved man of the match in this game, and we're on to the quarter-finals. We won't mention that Q word though, but there we go. We've ended up putting a better effort this season than what we did last season towards that Q word. No, I don't think it's on. I think it's impossible, but still, everyone keeps mentioning it. Well, we're still going in all 4 competitions. It's incredible. Bring it on. Pitch was terrible, but we're through in the end. Let's see who we get in the quarterfinals. I'll, of course, cover that on Twitter. Link to that in the description below, along with my Instagram. If you want to go and follow me on there. I'll keep you up to date with Manchester City latest news, which will be out some point in the week, covering who we've got in the draw and reaction to that. So stay tuned for that one. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, press the bell, and put your push notifications on if you're enjoying the content. And also, don't forget, leave a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you all again for the next Manchester City video as we build up to that big game in Germany on Wednesday. It's been JSGC. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Peace. Ciao for now.